The core gameplay loop in most AAA games these days is to fight waves of enemies, do some walking, and fight some more enemies with brainless AI. And that's on top of the already packed in filler and relentless tedium and tutelage, if you will. And over time it just gets so repetitive, and all these games just blend in with one another into this mindless blob. That's right, mindless blob. It's hard to find something fresh and exciting that's focused and switches up the gameplay loop, or at least makes it more exciting, while retaining the production value characteristic of these big budget AAA games that I love so much. And that's exactly why the Resident Evil 2 remake felt so revitalizing. But we can't talk about this game without mentioning the visuals, which are absolutely bonkers. I mean, you're seeing it yourself on screen right here. And mind you, this is from last generation, and this looks better than a lot of, well, I shouldn't say most, but a lot of PlayStation 5 games. You've got a mind-numbing level of detail in the environments, superb facial animations, and such a rich level of density and texture to the world that just makes it pop. The game's teeming with little minute details, and the developers did an absolutely wonderful job of creating its distinct atmosphere, and also delivering the sense of claustrophobia that's reminiscent of the feelings evoked by the Ishimura of the original Dead Space. You feel like you're in a maze or a haunted house when you're running through the corridors of the police station. When you're outdoors, it's like being in a classic noir movie with neon lighting and huge skyscrapers looming in the background. Then on the opposite side of the spectrum, you've got this futuristic lab setting that looks like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie and delivers this sense of scale and wonderment and bright colors that are a stark contrast to the more still coloring of the police department. It's just so freaking awesome and an absolute pleasure to explore. But before you play this game, you have to know what you're getting into. I think that at its core, this is pretty much a slow-paced puzzle slash scavenger hunt game where you have to figure out how to get from point A to point B in open hidden areas and sort of figure out how to piece things yourself and backtrack to uncover new areas or open objects you couldn't access before. That may sound boring to some people, and that's fine. This game definitely isn't for everyone. Yes, there's combat, but that's not the main focus at all. The zombies sort of serve more as moving obstacles for you to stun by shooting them so you can move past them and get where you need to go. It's more about finding a way around zombies than it is about sort of killing every zombie you see. And most of the time, it's in your best interest not to kill because ammo is so scarce. You have to load an entire magazine into them for them to die. So it's more practical to pump a few bullets to them to make them stagger so you can move past them, or sometimes it's better to just dodge them entirely. It also doesn't handhold you by telling you every single thing you need to do to complete an objective. It just gives you a general objective like, say, escape the police station. And it's up to you to figure out how to do it. And I can't stress, guys, I can't stress how much I love it when games give you the opportunity to figure out things yourself instead of practically playing themselves by hand-holding you the whole way through and playing out like an instruction manual. I feel like that's something Red Dead Redemption 2 really suffered with, but that's a whole nother video. And by the way, it's kind of funny how shooting zombies isn't even the main focus of this game, when the physics and the way these zombies react is just so damn satisfying. You can see the bullet damage so accurately when you shoot them. You can shoot them in the legs or arms and they'll break off and they'll start crawling. You'll shoot them in the head and you'll get this gory mess. And it just makes it so much fun because you can see the impact of the bullet, and the animation of the way the zombies react to being shot at is the best that I think I've ever seen in a video game. Even if the actual shooting mechanics and feedback could have been a little bit tighter. This game begs you to slow down and let its atmosphere shower itself upon you. And just, you don't even need to do anything. Just relax. Just breathe. Just soak in the atmosphere, you know? Just ask you to go around exploring and figuring things out yourself instead of hand-holding you the whole way through. And also, this isn't really a horror game. It's much more suspenseful and tense than it is scary. There's this feeling of having to unload your bowels, if you will, upon hearing Mr. X's footsteps in the background, slowly getting louder. And that feeling is further exacerbated by the tension aroused by having him right up your ass as you're trying to find a way to escape from this vile brute. But you don't know where to turn and dread running into a dead end in this seemingly endless maze. But despite all the positives about this game, there are a few issues, and the issues are actually pretty big. My main problem with this game is the characters and script. I kind of felt like the main characters were pretty bland and not fleshed out at all. The script itself is also pretty cliche and generic. I mean, you've heard this stuff so many times before. Or maybe I've just been really spoiled by games like God of War, Red Dead Redemption, and The Last of Us, which have these incredibly believable characters and fantastic voice acting and stories. And the story is just so damn important, guys. I mean, the story serves as like a driving factor in the game. It fuels your sort of motivation to play the game. I mean, for me, at least for me, what I've noticed is even if a game has amazing gameplay, that's not enough to keep me invested. I gotta love the world, and that comes from having an interesting story. And the story was sort of driven by the characters. The characters need to be interesting, and this game just doesn't have that. It does. It has the atmosphere. It has the world. It has the visuals. It doesn't have the characters. The story itself is decent. I mean, it gets the job done. It has a twist, but I feel like the story doesn't pack as much of a punch as it could have, mainly because the characters and script are just so damn weak. I think that better writing would have served this game so well because it has everything else going for it. It just needs a really good story and well written characters to sort of gel it all together. And the best part of the story is when he came across his father and daughter. You know, his daughter's sort of turning and he's trying to protect her from the cops. And that just, it felt like a real world scenario that would happen during an actual zombie apocalypse. So it was cool to see the game explore that territory. And it actually made you feel sympathy for those two. You actually felt some emotional connection to the characters in the game for the first time, just from that short scene. And I was actually surprised when I came across it because I didn't expect this game to go that route because everything else just kind of felt generic. And again, I didn't really feel connected to any of the main characters. So it was interesting that out of all the characters, I felt more connected to these side characters that you only got to see for a few minutes. I mean that's a damn shame because, again, like I said, this game has technically this game's an absolute this game's marvelous. All right, so it's weird because on the one hand you've got amazing, superb facial animation, some of the best I've seen in a video game. Then you also have such weak writing and characters that aren't even interesting or fleshed out at all. So I feel like the game didn't really take advantage of the really amazing facial animation technology, so that was kind of a bummer. And while this game didn't have the best story or characters, just the quality, it oozed quality, you know what I mean? Just the atmosphere being in that world, it just felt really tight and focused with no filler. So many games these days come in with filler, and this game didn't have any filler at all. It felt like it just felt really tight and focused. I really appreciated that. So yeah, I just want to make this video, sort of thank the developers, and I just want to encourage more games like these because I really do enjoy these, and I know a lot of you guys do as well. So thank you for listening.